Hello and welcome to Bloke Off the Range. I'm up here on an Alp with Bill being blessed this morning because by popular request I'm making cheese. Well, Bill's making cheese and I'm sort of helping but probably more hindering. Slight problem is we've only got half the milk we need that was pulled from the cows last night. The other half of it is still in these ladies over there and they're noticing what's going on, so they're going to be quite happy to get inside and get it out of them. So that is task one. So the cows have all got their own individual space in there and Bill is going to tie them up and start the milking process.
So every cow has its place. Helps to keep them organized. Plus, normally they go right to their spot, but you saw the horn coos came running in.
Yeah.
And they are recalcitrant, we'll put it that way.
That was a word I was going to use. Are they always recalcitrant?
They came in and they came charging, and one of them was like, I'm going to go out that back door. I've never done that before, but today I'm going to do that. And that was the start of a bad process. So they're all in.
So how many milk cows you got in here?
13.
13.
13. Everything from big Hereford like that to Fleck Bay like the last two I brought in. These 5 here are Simmentalers. Or these 3 are Simmentalers. Those 2 are Fleck Bay with horns. These 2 are Swiss Brown, Brunve. And that's all. And no Holstein, the black and white.
Yeah.
You saw one of those yesterday when we moved the calves, and that's the primary dairy cow in the U.S. I'm not sure what they use in the U.K. primarily, but
I think the Holsteins as well, mostly. Yeah.
These are better for the Simmentalers. Are also, you ask why Simmentalers, because they're a mix of meat and dairy. So when they outlive their usefulness on the dairy farm, they're still productive. They're also very wide stanced and low center of gravity. So when you get on these steep hills, they're the most agile.
Okay.
With the browns following. You can see their stand, if you look at their feet, like if you see the Holsteins, they'll stand with their feet really close together, and they're very long-legged.
Not good on a hill like that.
Not a good combination, no. But, here, the Simmentalers do really, really well.
And have you got a specific order for milking them in?
Yeah, we have a specific order, mostly because the access points for the vacuum line up where I often can't do 2 cows together next to one another where I could just turn and flip because we're sharing one access point. So these 2 cows share this access point.
Yeah.
So I have to flow between them. And then they're not the smartest animals in the world, but they do get used to a routine. So they like the routine. Like if she doesn't go first, she's not going to be happy.
Well, she's the matriarch, isn't she?
She is a bit of a matriarch. And she's probably the biggest. She's one of the biggest cows, one of the older cows. That's lavender in English. Lavendali. The Lieblingskuh, cow. Yeah. We make the milk machine and then we start. Huh? So first we clean.
Baby wipes.
Baby wipes, exactly. On sale at Lundy, 25 Swiss francs for 800. Biodegradable, disposable. We throw them right in the canal. They break down and they end up out on the field in a matter of days or weeks. So I like to leave well, everybody does, leave just a minute or so between cleaning. That cleaning also stimulates the udder for milk flow.
Okay.
Yeah, you're so smart. Yeah. And then we do the foremilking. So you see the black foremilk Becca. So this lets me do a couple things. It makes sure she's ready to milk. It cleans out any detritus that might happen to be right here at the end of the uter. And it also lets me analyze the milk white on black and see if there's anything, any contamination. And there's not. So
okay.
This is Lavendel's third summer on the Alp. She's a real milk producer. She makes about 20 liters a day on average.
That's
quite
impressive.
A bit. Pretty impressive. So, the math on that is for 20 liters of milk, she's going to drink 200 liters of water a day. And that Brunnen outside holds 2,000 liters. So she's knocking down a tenth of it by herself. So as you can see, all these cows together, they drink more than that entire Brunnen in a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goes into the Brunnen
Yeah.
from higher up. So who owns the cows?
Okay, so the cows are owned by several besitzer. Most of them are from the Reutigen or Hofen area, where Beat's from Hofen and Reutigen is at the bottom of the hill. But we also have cows from the Chiantal, which I think maybe you've covered on another video. Beautiful base of the Alps. Not sure why he brings them out here, but I think he's friends with Beat and he does it as a courtesy.
Okay.
Keep his friendship.
So they don't actually belong to this Alp?
No. In fact, this Alp is only open, we're only here for 100 days in the summer. That's the season. And there's actually a contract with the farmers that bring their cows. And the economics of it is for every cow that's in here, we get 5 Swiss francs a day for care and maintenance. That's their hosteling fee. And then with that, we also get the first 10 liters of milk they make in a day. And when the milk or after they've had their 10 liters, if the cow makes 20 liters, then that's 10 liters for the owner. So you'd have 10 liters times 100 days, you'd have 1,000 liters of milk, or roughly 100 kilos of cheese, or roughly 10 of those wheels downstairs.
Okay. And lots of people have asked us about the ties for the tails. Notice you haven't tied them in at the moment.
No, we haven't tied them in the morning because they're going to be in and out. We're going to milk them and then they're going to go right back out.
But what do the tail ties do normally?
They normally keep the nice, fluffy, relatively clean schwanz out of the drech that is going to be all over the stall floor when they're in here for 8 or 10 hours in the heat of the day.
So it literally just keeps them out of the poop?
It keeps it out of the poop, exactly.
Okay.
Good. I'm going to get some maize and salt for them. They're missing their maize man. We have Maiswürfel. I can offer you a fine selection of Maiswürfel this morning, ladies.
So is this extra nutrition?
Yeah, it's a little bit of energy, high energy. For them, it's like candy. This is the difference between grain. This would be grain if they were grain fed, and grass if they were these are grass fed, and then this is like a candy bar for them.
Okay.
You can hear the difference in the bells when they have their maize.
Yeah.
It's a little more active till it's gone.
Yeah. So the purpose of the bells?
Pardon me?
The purpose of the bells?
Oh, so we can find them.
Yep.
They're surprisingly quick when they want to be, and if they don't have any sort of signaling device on them, man, they can just disappear in a heartbeat. Can you hand me the Eimer on the... Good. Okay, so that's pancetta.
Pancetta. This is where I can be useful.
Yeah.
So, pancetta has produced...
And then I don't have to put
7.3 kilos. Pancetta. And then this. So what we do is we write it on here because they have to keep a log so that the individual owners know how much milk their cows produce, how much they have a right to, and how much the Alp has a right to. So then this goes through here. It's poured through a filter just in case there's any grass or straw or anything in it, and goes into the kessel, the cauldron, and this is what the cheese will be made in. And now we get a rhythm, and this whole thing repeats.
Knock it off. This is La Vendali, the milk machine. 7.3 is pretty typical. That's actually a good load from a Simmentaler.
Oh, that's heavier. This is the milk machine Lavendel. And slow that down. $10.9. Just shy of 11 litres, and she does that twice a day. So what's in here already is last night's milk, and there's a cooling coil to keep the temperature down, and this is just water off the hill at about 10 degrees Celsius that keeps it cool so that it preserves it overnight, and there's a stirrer that just keeps it agitated to stop it separating out, because this is unpasteurized, unhomogenized milk straight from the cow. And then once we've filled it up with this morning's milk, we'll get on with the cheese making. So you got a good rhythm going here, but sort of how much before the cows? How long before the cows turn up do you have to actually start work up here?
We start about a month or so prior. Can't really start much earlier than that because we still have a lot of snow.
How high are we here?
We're 1,230 meters on the shady side, so we're on the shady side of the hill. So we have snow here well into May.
Yeah.
But we work around it. We're generally up here the end of April, middle of April, middle to the end of April.
How many acres of pasture?
It's 42 hectares, or about it's about 130 acres.
For 13 cows. It's about 10 acres per cow.
Well, 13 cows plus we have 32 gushti, which are the teenagers, or off cycle, and 11 calves. But they will eat this place down in 100 days.
Wow.
There won't be anything left.
Wow.
Now a lot of it isn't bees. Also, there's quite a bit of it is kept in forest.
Okay.
Here, you practice a little bit.
So do they produce the same amount of milk throughout the season, or does it vary?
No, it varies. It it's tied to their lactation.
Uh-huh.
So it's I'm not an expert, but it's they only make milk right after they've calved, while the calf would normally be weaning, and then the calves are taken away and milked manually, and then fed manually, and then we take the milk. And you have mother cows.
Yeah.
So you'll give the calves to another cow whose sole purpose is to be the milk cow for.
Okay.
Yeah. That's more typical here in Switzerland. That's actually a job description for them with the coon.
And how long does it take to get through your 13 cows when you're working efficiently, not with an idiot like me?
Well, with one or two people, even if one of them's an idiot, it takes about 40 minutes. The difference is how much do I have to do?
Yeah.
Do I have to rush back over here, weigh that milk, and pour it in and get ready? Well, this just makes it a little more leisurely when we have two people.
Who was that?
That was Via Mala.
6'2". So what have you got to do preparation-wise before the cows are here? You were mentioning before preparing the field.
We take all the fences. We take all the a lot of the fences down. A lot of the fala that come down, the fence posts come down.
Yeah.
Because the snowfall, the weight of the snow and/or avalanche, will pull the fences down if we don't, and that's a lot more work then. So better to take them down and put them up so they'll last longer. We also, none of the posts, we make the posts ourselves, the wood posts ourselves, and they're not treated in any way, so they only last about 10 years, which means every year about 10% of them need to be replaced.
And how many posts do you reckon you've got?
Thousands.
Wow.
Yeah. We've got about over 3 kilometers of fence.
Wow.
Up here. Yeah. When you add all that perimeter fencing and then the tile fencing, it used to be everything with Streckeldraht, barbed wire. But now all the interior fencing, virtually all of that, we've gone to electric fence. As the controllers get better, and we have solar controllers that we don't need to maintain every day or change the batteries periodically. So that's made a nice difference. It's also good for field management because we can cut the fields in little finer slices and then move the cows. It was interesting. We had this field out here just outside the door. We let them out, and every day we just move the fence about 5 meters.
Okay, manage the grass growth.
They're managing the grass, and they're self-fertilizing as they go. Yeah.
Excellent. So what is the life cycle of a dairy cow?
After about 13, 14 months or so, they're impregnated. Usually here in Switzerland, it's artificially. Swiss Genetics, there's actually a company that drives around. You'll see them on the street. They drive around and they'll impregnate the gushti. And gestation's about 9 months. And the milk cycle then is about 10 months. And then there's typically a 2-month drying out period, just where they're eating, recovering their strength, putting on some weight, and they'll come in season again, and the process starts over. It's not uncommon. I think a lot of these cows, they'll go 10 cycles, and after that it's upflesh.
Yeah.
Whether it's the pet food industry or human consumption.
So the Simmentalas end up in human consumption and the rest end up in
most
pet
of
food.
the time, yeah.
Okay.
And if there's a problem, we had one last year. She was fairly young, probably 3 or 4 years old, and then they can get problems just as women can, conceiving. And every time Swiss Genetics comes, it's a couple hundred Swiss francs. Half for the labor, half for the product. And if they're not producing, they'll try once, and then 30 days later, approximately, they'll come back in season. They'll try again. if he really likes his cow, he might try a third time, and if there's if the pregnancy doesn't take, off to the Metzger. So these cows have just had one cycle. I'm sure of that because their udders are like young teenagers. They're very high. I go, oh, look, Pat, these are so high, and the other ones are so low. He goes, yeah, these are like 16-year-olds. They're very young.
So is this particular Alp farm typical, or is it on the small end, or?
I'd say it's a little bit on the smaller end, and it's also probably not quite typical in that, like all the other Alps here, there's 5 total on this mountain, or on this little range of mountains. There's 5 of us, and everybody else owns their cows.
Okay.
So they're farmers down below, and then they basically shutter up their farm or go down periodically and make hay, and they bring their animals up here.
Okay, whereas this one's
This one is Bayat is the younger son, and so there's what is that, the right of progenitorship, or what? You should know it. It's part of the monarchy thing, you know. But here, a small family or a family can still raise a family with a small herd of cattle and a little bit of land and the family house if the mortgage isn't too big or the expenses aren't too high with the subsidies and everything else. But Bayat doesnn't have that. So he's a Schreinerei in the winter.
Okay, carpenter.
A carpenter, yeah. And well, actually a Zimmerman, but you know, kind of an all-arounder. And he has his own business. And then in the summer, this is the business, and basically the Zimmerman stuff goes on hold.
Okay, but for a family farm, what's the sort of cut-off point at which you can live off it?
Well, I suppose it depends what your capital expenses are, but I'd say most family farms have between 20 and 25 cows. And I think the limiter on that mostly is how big of a field or fields can you cobble together where the cows can walk to them.
Janina. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So when you say that the owners of the cows have the right to 10 litres of milk,
No, we have the right.
oh, you have the right to the first 10 litres, and they have the right to surplus. But obviously, all the milk goes into cheese. So is it the cheese equivalent of that milk?
Yes, it's the cheese equivalent. Yeah.
Okay, this one was
A Rolo.
9.3.
And this can just go in the milk room.
Okay.
I'll come in a minute. I'm going to clean all that.
This is the milk room. I'm sure we'll have a look in here in a bit.
Oh! Hup! Oh! I love them. The rest?
Okay, so we've got this big cauldron of cold milk. What's the next step?
Well, we got to warm up that cauldron of cold milk. And I get the fire already ready to go.
So this is really traditional, old school, done over an open fire.
Yeah.
And why has it got to be warmed up?
Well, for the culture to work, the bacteria that we're going to add to the milk, it's expecting the milk to be a specific temperature, and if it's not that temperature, then it's going to be not very effective.
And back in the day, how did they make sure that it was the right temperature? Was it just like stick your elbow in it?
Stick your finger in there, yeah. It sure was. So this is going to take a little while longer than normal because we put all the milk together and we kept cooling it while I was bringing in the animals and we had Frühstück early or separate, and then we just a little bit out of sequence. So this milk's a little colder than normal, and I want the bacteria to work on it for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to check the temperature, see where we're starting from. We're heading for 32 degrees C. This is my sterile, frequently boiled, constantly replenished hot water. So before we stick anything in the alpkäse, we just rinse it a little bit. And we'll see where we're starting from. We're probably quite cool. Overnight, the temperature is about 12, 13 degrees in the Kessel. We add 40-degree milk. So in theory, it would be about 25 degrees if we started right away, but we left it for a couple hours and cooled it. So we're probably down, we're down below 20. So we're going to let this run for a little bit while I get the culture ready. So the next step is I'm going to check the biology of the culture. The equivalent to this would be, the best equivalent I could say would be something like sourdough starter, where we kept this is the culture from yesterday. I pull that out before I pull the cheese curd out. There's a little process there. We bring it up to temperature, cool it off a little bit, and then put it in the thermos. And then we store it overnight. Now we can store it for 2 days. That's no problem if we need to. But generally we use it every day.
And the initial culture you presumably buy in from somewhere?
Well, we make it. It's a powder. We do that at the beginning of the season. It's a powder.
And you just keep going with it throughout the whole season?
And we keep going with it throughout the season. Yeah.
Ah, like
it's like sourdough.
Or repitching your dregs when you're brewing beer.
Absolutely.
And to keep that going.
So we get some Trius on top there. Good mix.
Smells slightly
acid.
Sour and acidic, yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Excellent start then.
Yeah. So you were asking how would they have done it in the old days? Like, pH measurement's not all that old. What is that? Maybe 150 years?
Mm-hmm.
They've been making cheese for well over 1,000. So how do we decide if it's good or not? We taste it. And it's help yourself.
Go.
It's very nutritious.
I'm sure.
Let me see here. Well, let me see what it tests out to be first. I'm in no rush because the milk is so cold. I'm in no rush on the. I'm getting the culture in there. There's 20.
So if you didn't make it as far as 18, the pH would be too high.
The pH would be too low.
Oh, low.
Too low? Too high. Too high. Yeah. Be too high. Too base. Yeah. And the way that tastes in your mouth is sweet.
Uh-huh.
Because it's not sour.
There you go.
Right there. 28. Right where I want it. So we're looking good. This can go away. Still 20 degrees.
So you don't have to wait for it to get up to temperature to pitch it?
No, this is half.
Okay.
This is half the quantity. So we're not far off where we would have been if we had started normally. And this would be the normal process. So now I started a clock. We're basically starting at 0 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, fire's good. Ja, echt gut. 22.
It's always record keeping.
Yeah, well, we have good records. We go back. Well, good records are not very.
But you did a course for this, didn't you?
Yeah. I did a course. It's in Hondrich by Spiez. So it's a week-long Alp Center course. So not only is it, they cover it's primarily a cheesemaking course, but they also cover field maintenance, Unkraut control,
weed
hygiene.
Control. Yeah. So everything from blade of grass to cheese.
Yeah, animal, a little bit of animal husbandry. I mean, it's hours, not weeks and months, but very interesting. They said I was the first American to go through in 15 years. So not the first American, but the first American in quite some time.
Oh, wow.
So we're at 24 almost.
So how does a retired USMC helicopter pilot end up helping make cheese in Switzerland on an Alp as a hobby?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have enough time in this video to tell that whole story. But I married a Swiss woman in 2005 who's from Thun, so we frequently holidayed here. And I met Beat and Petra probably 7 or 8 years ago and told him that I'd always wanted to work up here. And once I moved here in 2016, I started a slow process of inculcating myself into their lives such that now that they feel comfortable, they can go to holiday for a weekend during Alp season for a wedding and know that the place probably is not going to burn down or they'll be out thousands. So it's nice. But it's a huge change. And I don't miss flying at all. I mean, it was fun. It was really fun. But, my eyes started to go bad and it quit being so much fun anymore in the airplane. Where are my reading glasses? I can't see this. I can't see that. And this is just much more comfortable. Much easier go in life.
Although, we were up at about 5 this morning to get the cows in and milk them, and then yesterday evening at about 5. So you seem to have this sort of cycle, sort of twice a day. Although you're only cheese making in the morning.
Yeah, it's and there's some downtime. We usually have time for a nap after lunch, and there's some quiet periods during the day, but it's basically a 14 or 15 hour day. And when you have it's unusually hot this week, when you have unusually hot weather, it turns into longer days, which of course is the worst time to have a longer day, when it's hot. But it comes with the package. There's other days where it'll be rainy and cloudy and overcast, and we sit here and drink schnapps and play cards all day after the cheese is done. Because all the animals stay outside, and there's just not that much to do.
And this is reminding me very much of when I was brewing. That there's sudden bursts of activity where stuff has to be done kind of quickly and all in one go, and then pauses. And you were saying that normally you'd use the pauses to do the cleaning, which we did upstream today because I'm getting in the way.
Right. Well, if Beat was here, if it was Beat and I, I'd be finishing the milking. We'd actually be pouring the milk still into the kessel while it was warming and the culture was going in, while Beat was finishing the cleaning. And it all comes together in this 30-minute period while in this foreripen period. And you're going to see we're going to add the other culture, we're going to add the lab, It's going to stir for a couple minutes. It's going to go to rest. And then we got 30 minutes with absolutely nothing to do. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move ahead some of the stuff with the cheese from yesterday because it's already 10 o'clock. Normally, we'd be almost done with that process. So the cheese on the table behind you is going to go down in the cellar.
Okay,
We'll
just
get that
show.
all ready.
That's yesterday's cheese that's been pressed and turned and pressed and turned and pressed and turned.
Right. So we're going to fill the time in 30 minutes, but this isn't exactly the right cycle. What you will see the right cycle is when I put the after we stirred the cheese and it's in its fore-ripening period mixing, then that process where I'm cleaning the old equipment from yesterday and cleaning the towels from yesterday, that's the same rhythm as we have on a daily basis. Because what happens is one guy does that, and the other guy goes in the cellar and he rotates all the cheese and smears it with salt water.
Okay, look forward to seeing that.
Mm-hmm. So this is the lab, the enzyme that's extracted from the cow's stomach that helps to break down the milk.
But vegetarian cheese, this is not.
No. Well, it's harvested humanely. I mean, it's just, I think it's not like they kill them. I don't think. But it is pretty pricey. So I'm looking for 38 milliliters today. And look at that, first shot.
Hey. And this is single use, yeah?
Single use, yeah. That's a liter. A liter is, I don't know, 30 bucks, 30 Swiss francs. And so what's that, about 3 liters a year we go through.
Okay.
I have I have a liter of culture today, so I put half in before. I'm going to put half in now. I'm going to mix the lab in.
For different types of cheese, is it different cultures, different types of rennet, or?
I don't think so. We make Rocklet and we make Alpkäse and we use the same.
Mutually?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
Okay.
That's all the same.
So what's the difference in the process between Alpkäse and raclette?
What's the difference in what?
In the process?
Oh, it's quite a bit different. There's only one heating. And you replace a third of the mocha with hot water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a semi-hard cheese, not a hard cheese.
Okay.
So it's a completely different culture. Yeah, we're spot on.
As today, this is Alpkäse, Alp cheese.
Yeah.
And I presume there's a legal definition of that.
Yeah, it's cows and Käse are all above 1,000 meters. Are made all above 1,000 meters.
And Bergkäse, mountain cheese?
I think it's the same. I think it's just a.
It's not a higher definition or anything, higher level?
So we have 25 minutes. That's enough. So I'm going to put 25 minutes in here. I'm going to note the clock because what I want this to do is go in for 2 minutes at full gas like that. We'll start at the bottom. So I aid the mixing process just by moving it around.
Obviously, back in the day, that would have all been done by hand and all the.
Yeah.
And how long before it starts to thicken?
About a half hour.
So we got 209 litres in here, according to your book. And how much cheese is that going to give at the end?
About 20 kilos. Okay. Note the time.
10:01.
Yeah. But we really say it's 10 because it took me a while to get this far. And what I'm going to do is take my watch to help my old man memory, and then I reset. Well, my watch is a little bit, that clock's a little bit off, isn't it? So now we're set for 30 minutes. We're not going to touch that, but what we're going to do is we're going to go down in the cellar now. I'm going to take care of the Käse from today, or from yesterday. So first I'm going to go down. We'll go down, we'll open the cellar.
It is Scorchio today.
Yeah. Give us a little more light.
Apologies for the light in here, but that's
there is no light.
There is no light. It smells of cheese.
Cheesy. So this is from 2 days ago. This is from yesterday.
So sitting in a brine bath.
Yeah. So you'll notice there's a number. That's the number of wheels we've made this year. And here's the other side would be the date and also the basically the license number for the Alp 2039. So I'm going to smear that with salt, but I'm going to do that when I come back with the others. So we can go back up.
Okay, so yesterday's cheese that's been pressed under weights.
Yeah, there's multiple rotations. We flip it at least 5 times. In hot weather, we'll flip it 6 or 7. So I think I flipped it 6 yesterday. And that's the time increases. When we first start, the first press is just a couple of minutes. Looks quite shiny, quite nice. So all this material is going to get washed. So now we clean up the corners. Take all the Käse that's gotten folded back in. Take that away.
Now the rind on these, unlike Dutch cheese, it's not wax, it's totally natural, isn't it?
Totally natural, yeah. The salt bath does a couple things. It toughens up the skin, but it also acts like it through osmosis, it helps to pull the liquid out, the excess water. So you can see it's still pretty gummy. You tried this yesterday, didn't you, Mike?
Yep.
So
tastes like cheese curds,
mm-hmm.
because that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. That's a big lip.
And how much wastage do you get typically due to squeezing out of the edges?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. These are actually pretty big. I mean, I wouldn't want them to get any bigger than that from an overhang standpoint. But it's a function of how much space I leave underneath the form when I press it.
Uh-huh.
And it's certainly better to have too much than not enough.
What happens if there's not enough?
Then it tends to retain the water because it's
it's not getting pressed enough.
It's quite a good seal, so it impedes the water flow. Okay, so that's one.
And that all goes to the pigs.
Yep. I'd be happy to have that tomorrow.
So one of the indirect byproducts of cheese production is bacon. Pig.
Bacon and pork chops. Yeah. Now we have eight Alpschwein. And some of those get sold. They actually have their own customer base. People love it. I mean, it really tastes much better than the pork you get in the grocery store. And if you ever get pork at the butcher, it's often, well, I wouldn't say it's often Alpschwein, but if they have Alpschwein, they'll advertise it as such.
Okay. Because we had some sausages when we were up here in the winter that were from your pig from last year, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were awesome. And literally they're fed the whey, the offcuts of curds, and some grain supplement. Yeah,
it's a pig meal. You get the UFA. Oh, that's done already. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to put an apron on because Grüß wohl. Alpkäse.
Alpkäse, ja?
Ja, einen Moment bitte.
Ja, ist gut.
Wie viel?
Also,
Wie viel Wachs?
2 Stück, so.
2 Stück, vielleicht 200, 300 Gramm.
Ja, ja.
Okay.
2 mal 200, so.
2 mal 200, okay. Okay, door please.
Wait, sorry.
Otherwise the flies will inhabit. No, I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stack them like yesterday. So, handful of salt. Then the other. So you can see I didn't do the best job matching the size yesterday. And we'll rotate those at the end of the day. And these are the ones I just pulled out. I flipped those to clear the bath. And these also get a handful of salt.
And that forms the rind by drawing the moisture out.
Yeah. Okay, that's that. I think I need. Now we'll see what I got upstairs. I think I'm gonna have to come down and get it.
So he didn't want to be filmed, but we just sold some cheese to a random guy. Now, what sort of proportion of the cheese that stays up here gets sold directly to random passers-by like that, and how much goes into wholesale?
Not very much.
Mostly into wholesale then?
Yeah. The other day we actually sold, there was a woman that owns a restaurant in it's actually in Reutigen. And she was up here with some friends visiting, and they ended up walking out of here with 250 Swiss francs worth of cheese.
Ooh.
But that's pretty unusual. Normally it's 200, 300, 400 grams, occasionally a kilo. I bet we don't sell 50 kilos a year like that in 100 days. So half a kilo a day.
Yeah.
We're making 20 kilos a day. So okay, we're at 22 minutes. There's something I was gonna do. I was gonna start sterilizing the thermoflasche for culture. So we do this 2 fills. Always boiling water.
All on solid fuel. There is no mains electricity up here. And the water comes off the hill.
Yeah. We have 2 wells, 2 quella, or two springs. One feeds the Brunnen down by the street, that's all it does. The other one does the rest of the house, including the stall, the kitchen, the bathroom upstairs, everything. Okay, we got 31 minutes. Normally it's 35 minutes. We'll take a peek. Ruhet side is over. Deckel kommt auf. Just gonna wash my hands again for the 900th time today. And you're going to need your tripod here soon, because this is, soon you're going to end up having to help.
Okay.
Okay, the doctor is ready. So this is not a dish towel, this is the hand towel. That's the dish towel, lest you confuse them. So how I check this, or how we check this, is I just make sure that it's pulling away. It looks great. Now I'm going to take the Schufeli and I'm going to crack the rind. I'm going to peel back a little bit, slide underneath it a little bit, fold it over, and that should crack nicely. Just like that. It's already ready. And the final check, not necessary, but make sure it splits that way. Okay, time 10:33. I get the Harfe. Okay, this is the Kreuz. So this is a very specific plan. So I'm going to cube it. These are one of those practical skills they like to emphasize when you go to school. So this is the Kreuz. And you can see why it's a Kreuz.
Cross.
Yeah.
So it cuts the curds into cubes.
Right. They're going to get much smaller. Okay, now I started on the other, I started going that way. Now I'm going to come this way. And if you've been keeping count at home, I've got one quadrant I haven't done. Voila. Tighten that up. Both shoe fillet. And what I couldn't get with the croûtes, I'm going to get with the choux fillet. Is this a dustpan in the UK?
It does look a bit like a dustpan. You don't want to mix it up with the...
Yeah, the difference is a dustpan you can buy at Tesco for £1.99, and these are in the dairy store, and they're probably $15 a piece. Not for any apparent reason, just that they are, you know.
Because they can be.
Because they can be. Anything associated with food or aviation is more expensive. Okay, Mike, it's time for you to go to work.
Okay, I shall put the camera on a tripod.
Okay.
So, wash hands.
Not necessary. You're going to be above the fray. So take this, and all you're going to do is in this direction, you're going to start to stir, and I'm going to follow along with the harf. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to be in concert with one another.
Okay.
So I'm going to run circles, so you start, and I'm going to follow you. Yeah. You can go full depth, go right down to the deepest. There you go. Yep. And a little faster.
That's quite a lot of resistance, actually.
Yeah, it's a good upper body workout.
Surprisingly. For an office monkey like me. All the Canadians will be recognising it at about this stage. There's cheese curds.
Cheese curds, yeah. Making cottage cheese. A little faster. Yeah, you can brace your hand. That helps. It gives you a little.
That handle's not very ergonomic. It's
No.
clearly designed for hanging it up.
I go sideways like that. There you go.
Like that.
There you go.
Can you do this on your own, or is it a
Yes.
real faff?
Yeah, I can. Here, I can demo
Yeah.
for the camera.
That's a faff, though.
Mm-hmm. So it's not very pleasant. So what we're looking for is we're trying to get the curds quite a bit smaller than like what you see sticking to the back of the choufle. You see it on top there?
Yeah.
And relatively consistent. So we got a ways to go yet. So we can take a look. We're probably not done. What I'm going to do is just, yeah, see, we're nowhere near done. See how there are various sizes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Good enough for government work?
Good enough for government work. We don't have all day. My back's starting to hurt. Okay, keep that. Now start spinning it the other way. The other direction, please. Because right now it wants to just sink.
Yeah.
know you're here for a movie, but this is really the reason you're here. Okay, you can keep stirring because you're actually providing a little extra horsepower for the roller.
Okay.
While it's so heavy.
Oh yeah, that 12-volt motor's struggling.
Okay. Take over for you. Yeah, it doesn't need a lot of help. It just we give it a couple minutes when we start. And basically, now when this Kessel was full, I had to have wood stacked on top of that thing to keep the.
Oh wow.
And then the thing's really struggling. And that was before we had solar, so the battery may be at 50%. And it was a real challenge. I mean, I'd sit here for 15 minutes doing this. So what I'm looking for is if it sinks, it's all going to be clear on the top. If it all sinks, it's all going to be clear on the top. As long as I got about a third where I can see it circulating, see the curds coming up. So I've got half clear water, half clear whey, and half is a mix, which is fine. So now we just leave it. So we're on a 45-minute timer now. So this is where we hit that routine that I was telling you about. Ordinarily, the other person would be down in the cellar, rotating the Käse. Well, I'm going to do all the cleaning in here. So this stuff, we're done with this. It doesn't get washed real good today. It gets washed real good in the morning just before we use it.
So we put the thing back on the fire.
Yep, after 45 minutes of just mixing, after we did the cutting, we put it back on the fire. We're going to bring the temperature back up to 52 degrees. It's going to knock back the process, harden up the curd, and then that'll be the last thing we do before we pull the curd out of the mix, out of the mocha.
Okay, so what are the various bits of apparatus here?
So that's the forms that the cheese goes into for the press. These are just hard boards, yeah. Laminate that can be cleaned very, very well. And those become the base. So this is a pretty ingenious little form that you can adjust the size of the circle.
What were they made of before plastics?
Wood. Yeah.
Soft, supple wood.
Yep. I think they steam bent them.
Uh-huh.
That's when Cooper was a real profession. Now all the Coopers learn to code. Okay, the Käse has been out for a couple minutes. It's probably a little premature, but I pull a few curds out. Oh, that's already fine. We want it to be a little gummy, a little squeak when you chew on it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Squeak.
So we're going to call it a day.
It has very little flavour at this point.
Mm-hmm. Very little. So now we're done with all the equipment. So now the most important thing of the morning is to take the culture for tomorrow. I have my Beck ready. Cool a little bit. We're going to come back to this in a minute. So this starts that next clear rhythm in the process is what I'm starting now. So the culture can sit there for now. And now we're going to pull the cheese out. So this can be a one-man or two-man operation. Yesterday I did it alone, and I do it alone today as well, so you can film.
I'm no help. I'm just going to be a hindrance.
So this is the bogle we said. It comes in. Now I'm going to take these two corners, and I am going to hold them in my teeth as I try to pull out half of the curd. Now, I just stuck my hand in 52-degree way, curds in way. So there's that. That's pretty big. Okay, so she goes in the form, and I'm just going to make sure, do a little bit of kneading. Make sure I get it down on all the sides. I can adjust the size if I need to. Which I do. I'm going to make it a little bigger. And you can hear all the whey running off into the bucket. Okay, that's pretty decent. So now we do another.
And that obviously would have been a wood lath back in the day as well.
Probably. So I follow the contour of this flexible metal rod allows me to follow the contour.
Are there certain schools of thought that consider the metal rod cheating?
No. As opposed to what? Wood?
No, doing it with just with the cloth.
Oh no, you got to have something to follow the contours. It just wouldn't work. I'm pretty sure they've been using that for a long time. Okay, and you'll notice we have one more tuch because sometimes you get lucky and you pull it all out with two, but usually you don't. Usually there's another kilo or so in there that slipped away. It's a big one, so I can take a few extra wraps. Okay, I'm going to get my corners again. Now I'm going to do a little more full sweep. It's basically empty.
Hey, you did pretty well then.
So, I mean, theoretically, when we have kids up here, like the nephews or someone's helping, then we just give them this. This is Alpler Kaumgummi. This one's a little bit smaller, so we'll throw her in there. I'm going to knead that in. And now get ready to press them. So the first press, I just, as long as the curd's not coming out the top, I don't worry too much about what it looks like with the tish. Tighten that up a little bit. Pull it up just a little bit.
Otherwise it doesn't flow, yeah?
Yeah, it just helps it come out, and it keeps it the right size. This is by far the hardest one to do because, well, you'll see here in a second.
There's a lot of moisture content in there.
Well, there's a lot of moisture, and they're big. So the challenge is to get the press up over the top. So I give myself a little space.
So last year when you had the whole kessel full, how much bigger were the
These things were like right to here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean they were opened completely up. They just couldn't get any bigger. Yeah, we're not too bad then. So you can see it won't fit at the moment.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do... Whoa. I'm going to recenter that because I'm not happy with that way that. They're very slippery when they're this fresh, so you got everything's working against you when they're like this. Good. That's fine. So, time is 12:19. Now, while that's pressing, I'm going to do the culture for tomorrow. Remember, I started at about 52 degrees. And I'm coming up to 61. And that's going to kill the Hefeweizen. and it goes quick. I'm already at 54.
So you're effectively pasteurizing it.
Yeah. Well,
The-
I'm controlling the type of bacteria that's in the culture.
Lucky the ones you want are not
The
killed
luck-
by
Well,
super-
some are killed by the heat and some are killed by the cold.
Ah, okay.
So that's why we first we bring it up and then we bring it down. So this is part of that rhythm. So while that first short press is ongoing, then I can take care of the culture.
So on a normal day without me getting in your way, how long does it take from starting milking to more or less the stage we're at now?
Well, we had 2 of us the other day, which is, optimal, that knew what we were doing. And it took, we woke up at 5. We were done milking before 6, so maybe, 45 minutes plus had the fire made and everything. And then the cheese process we were done by 8:30 in the morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So parallel activity you can do with...
Yeah, with parallel activity, it's amazing what you get done. And we're fully, that's nice about this little, Beat and I Petra does not make cheese. His wife does not make the cheese. She does not want to do it. She does not want to go to the class. She does not want to be responsible, is the bottom line. But is she good at everything else. And she'll do this. Now, this is actually the most critical thing. You probably shouldn't tell her that, because if she screws this up, then tomorrow's ruined. Not really ruined. We just get some from the neighbor. Okay, 45. So, put that in there for a while. Never waste hot water. So I'm going to sacrifice a little culture to bring the temperature down. Now I'm absolutely going to top these things off. No air bubbles. I've got plenty of culture in this can. I don't need to be stingy. So as it bubbles over the top, keep it coming. Good. So in theory, one of those is enough. In theory, almost enough to do the whole day tomorrow, but we have 2. Good. So this is it's just a double blanket. this in here. Kind of in a warm corner. And we'll get it again tomorrow. So that's it. That's it for that's part of that process, that rhythm. Now we've already had the käse pressed one time. So now we flow right back into the first rotation of the käse. I didn't get to show you, but that 4 fingers went to basically nothing.
Yeah.
In less than 10 minutes. That's starting to look like a proper cheese now. So this I'm not going to cut off. I'm going to keep all that. It's soft enough. It's going to flow right back into the cheese.
Oh, you're already switching over the cloth.
Oh yeah. Yeah, every time we flip the käse, the tuche gets changed out. So now I'm going to go underneath the first one. So my hand is on the towel from the first time. And bring it back down. So there's the towel from the first one. That was on the bottom. This was the bottom, now it's the top. And all I want to do this time, I'm just going to pull everything into the center like that. Get my little airspace underneath. And that one's ready.
After how many flips do you then have to ensure that the cheesecloth is all neatly pressed to avoid a hole in it?
The next time I rotate it, we'll do the top nicely, so it'll be nice and smooth. But we don't actually take the towel off until the next morning. We take it off the sides in the evening before bed, the last flip before we go to bed, and then we take it off the top and the bottom when I came down this morning at 5 o'clock and flipped yesterday's.
You said typically, what was it, 5 to 7 flips overall?
Yeah, 5 is normal, and then if it's warm, we try to do it a little bit more, just so it doesn't get too attached to the towel, because it dries out a little quicker.
And it's natural fiber cloth.
Yep. I don't know what it is. It might be like flax or something. Linen.
Cotton.
They're frightfully expensive, so I hope there's something really nice. So what I usually do is I do something like the last one. I don't make it a big ball, but I don't make it real pretty, but I also don't make it a big ball, because they don't need to. Just kind of fold it up like that. It's looking pretty good. Now this is easy.
And now it's getting more dense. How big's the weight? How heavy is the weight?
I have no idea. It's pretty heavy. It's just a concrete block, so I guess we could figure it out.
Well, you can hear the hear the whey running out through the pores.
Hey, you can see that white liquid. That's just the liquid from the käse coming out.
So,
Superly.
I think that's about all we need. I think that's basically the process, because it's just rinse and repeat that.
It's rinse and repeat that. The only thing that I do on the next pressing, which is in about a half an hour, this is part of the routine, right? Is now I'm going to clean the kessel and I'm going to get the number shield ready to go on. What I can do is get the number shield ready first. And then I clean a little bit, and then it's time to flip her again.
And the cheeses that are in the cellar, how often do you brush them with salt water and flip them?
The ones from this season we do every day.
So at the end of the season, that's presumably a...
Well, after about, we've been at this now. Alpkäse, we've been at this almost 3 weeks, and after about a month, we'll start to skip the first ones and do them, every third day. And I'm not sure if that's, I don't know enough about cheese making to know if that's really appropriate, or we're lazy and we don't want to do them all every day anymore.
Yeah.
It's a distinct possibility. That could be the reason, because it is a lot of work. By the time the end of the year, if you're down there by yourself, you're down there flipping cheese for 3 hours, and you're talking about 210 kilo wheels that you pull off the rack, flip, set down, wipe, pick up, and put back. It's a lot of upper body.
Better than the gym.
Better than the gym.
And this all goes to the piggies, all thrown away.
Yeah, this is going to go to the piggies. So I'll give you a little bit of video of that. I've got the kessels already ready. I'll take my never wanting to waste hot water or warm water, I'll use my warm water from the tuche. And now I'm going to start filling the kessels out here for the Schwein. On the next pressing, I'm going to put the number shields on the side. So for Alpkäse, we use these. Berner Oberland Alpkäse. That's our license number, 2039. And what goes on here is the date and then the rad number. So I look today is 30 June. It's going to be 43 and 44.
And you just stick all this on the side of the...
I put a little piece of tape on them. And when I rotate them next time, I'm just going to pull the towel away and affix these.
Okay, and what are they made of? Like edible wax?
Yeah, they're edible something or other. They basically dissolve into the käse. Yeah, there's nothing left. In an hour, there won't be anything left except for the Scotch tape.
It's a very labor-intensive process.
It is. And everything in Switzerland that involves labor, it's going to be expensive.
It's amazing how cheap it is sold in shops, to be honest.
It is.
When you see
I actually don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. I get yelled at because I use too much clever there, see. Costs money,
No.
Good enough.
Good enough for government.
Seems to work. Okay, so those are set. Next flip, those will go on.
Right, so thank you so much, Bill.
You're certainly welcome.
Anyone who has watched this far, turn it around. Anyone who's watched this far, well done as well. Thank you very much for showing your labour of love here, and
It absolutely is.
very
Thanks.
much nice coming up here and
Always,
seeing it with you. So
always welcome.
see you.
Come back anytime.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay, good.
Bye.
Cheers.